You've got both of your bobbins completed. Now you're ready to apply these together. In order to apply, you are going to need a lazy Kate of some sort. Sometimes with the manual spinning wheels, there is a lazy Kate built in to them, like the Ashford Kiwi 3 that I do have here. There is a lazy Kate that is built in at the bottom so that I can slide my bobbins onto and apply if I don't have one already. Some websites do offer the lazy Kates or sell the lazy Kates. Or if you have a wonderful husband that can build you one like I do, mine built me one several years ago where all I have to do is take a dowel rod, slide this onto my bobbin, and then there's some slits that will help the bobbin roll. So I'm going to feed this onto my lazy Kate real quick, and then we will move on to the next step. If you haven't already watched my how to spin video, I do highly recommend watching that before you watch this, as I go over several different things, and specifically the Z versus S twist. I go a little bit more into detail than what I will in this video, so I will briefly go over. So the reason why you do need to know the difference between the Z versus S twist is it tells you the direction of which you're spinning your yarn. So the Z twist, if you're spinning your yarn in a Z twist, it means that you are spinning your flyer wheel to the right. If you are spinning your yarn as an S twist, then you are spinning your flyer wheel to the left. And it's important to know that because when you go to ply, you will need to go the opposite direction of what you spun your singles in. So for example, I spun my singles as a Z twist. So meaning I spun my flyer wheel to the right, which is called also clockwise. So when I go to ply these together, I'm going to spin them in the opposite direction, which is going to be counterclockwise, also known as the S twist. So my finished product, when I spin my yarn and have it fully completed, I will have then a S twist spun yarn. And it's opposite if you were trying to get a finished product of a Z twist spun yarn. If you're trying to accomplish that, then you will spin your singles as an S twist. And then when you go to ply, you'll spin the opposite direction into a Z twist, which will go to the right. So now we'll go ahead and move right into how we'll to ply. First thing that you need to do, just like when you go to spin your singles, you are going to need to create a leader, and you will need to feed it through your rings and your orifice. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. So I have my leader fed through my orifice. So now I'm going to take the ends of my two bobbins that I have here, and I'm just going to go ahead and feed the two ends through my leader. And if you don't know how to create a leader, I also show you how to do that in my how to spin video. So plying is very, very simple compared to spinning your singles. All you gotta really do is twist them together, and that's really about it. Now there is a few things that you do want to be mindful of. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my bobbin started off. Again, I will be spinning this to the left, creating a S twist. So one of the things that you do want to be mindful of is your tension. If your tension is too loose, then your yarn potentially might not uptake onto your bobbin and might create some overspin in your yarn. Now, if your tension is too high, then it could possibly rip, not really rip, but pull the yarn out of your hands, which will create underspun yarn. So you just want to kind of find that balance between the two and what works comfortable for you. I'm personally a person who likes a lighter tension. That way I know that the yarn isn't ripping out of my hands, but also the yarn can kind of just do its thing and twist itself and not having to put so much work into it, but also not creating overspin. Another thing is to definitely making sure that you are going in the right direction. If you are going in the same direction that you spun your singles in, then what's going to happen is your yarn is going to sit parallel to each other and not actually ply like as what I have here. It's actually not going to ply together. It will sit parallel and you'll create a lot of overspin in your singles, which if you catch on to that quickly, then you might be able to combat that and correct it and spin it the way that it needs to be spun. And it should, hopefully, as long as you haven't overspun it too much, then it should untwist itself and correct itself. And then another thing is your hand placement. Now I have my hand placed here for a reason, and I'll kind of turn the camera a little bit. So I have my hand placed here for a reason, which is helping my yarn from not spinning all the way into my bobbins. If my yarn was to spin into my bobbins, then there could be some problems there. One being if you have any curly cues that you haven't caught and they spin into your yarn, your finished product might have a bunch of curly cues sticking out of it, unless you are trying to obtain that type of yarn. That's something that you might not want in your yarn. But also it might just be very, very loose and not well plied together. So there are just some things that you do want to be mindful of when you are plying. It's very, very simple and very mundane. It's not a lot of work like if you are doing your singles. Pretty much all you're doing is letting, or at least what I do, is let the yarn twist itself. Again, you just want to check your tension. You want to check to making sure that you are plying in the right direction, and just to keep your yarn from spinning all the way up into your bobbins for your singles. Another thing is you do want to make sure that you are moving your yarn around on your bobbin, so you're not creating a big old mound onto your bobbin. And this will also help you get a little bit more yarn onto the bobbin, which means you'll be able to spin more. But I think I covered most of the bases for beginners with spinning. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can feel free to email me or ask away in the comments section. The next video for this series, and which will be the final video, is how to finish your yarn. So we'll be going over how to get the yardage count, how to create a hank, and what you need to do after you create a hank. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm going to go ahead and finish these bobbins up, and I will see you guys in the next video.